about 3 or 4 factors. One is access. How do we improve access? How do we achieve universal access? Number 2, how do we make sure that our education is relevant so that we can use it to tackle the challenges of our time? The shift to TVET was part of that endeavor to make our education relevant to what we need, the kind of human capital we need to be able to achieve what we are looking for. All our other endeavors as a nation in food security, in health, and in all the other spheres in our economy, the kind of human capital we develop will make it that much more easy to achieve those targets, that much more affordable. How do we make it that much more affordable? So that the majority, as we discuss free primary, free secondary, our tertiary institutions, TVETs, and all the other tertiary institutions, all the way to university, how do we make it? How do we fund it? How do we make sure it's affordable for the majority of the citizens of our country? So these are the issues that we want to have a discussion around. Access, relevance, affordability. These are issues we want to have a conversation about so that we can build a human capital that is going to give us the edge, not only to achieve what we have set out to achieve as a nation, but to make sure that that education is internationally competitive and we can have access to opportunities beyond the boundaries of our nation. So I thought it is important for us to calibrate the kind of discussion we are going to have. And I want to thank the stakeholders that have participated in many meetings that have gone into the meeting we are having here today. As a policy in Kenya Kwanza, we decided that we are not going to write a manifesto in some hotel room or in some conference somewhere. We are going to have a robust engagement. We have collected a lot of views from stakeholders in the many economic fora we have had around the country. We've had views from teachers, from managers of schools, from parents, from students on what they think about HELP, Higher Education Loans Board, on what they think about the curriculum we are running, on what they think about CBC. We've collected a lot of information, and that information has been processed through the various education-specific sector meetings that have gone into the journey towards us arriving at this final symposium. So to all of you who have contributed your ideas, you have made suggestions, you have given us ideas, and to thank our technical teams, members, who have committed a lot of time in putting this together voluntarily. members of WASU, KUPPET, members of NAT, members of private schools, and many other stakeholders, including our church institutions who are partners in running our education institutions. We have come here finally to have this final conversation, and as Kenya Kwanza, we will be happy to sign a charter with the education sector on agreed parameters on what needs to be done on teachers' shortage, what needs to be done on capitation, what needs to be done on higher education loans board provision, and on all the other areas that we want to engage in as a way of arriving at education being the driver for our economic model, and making sure that bottom-up is enabled by the kind of education that we have. I forgot to mention one last thing, is quality. Accessible, affordable, relevant, and the right quality of education. That's really at the bottom of what we need to discuss, so that we don't get half-baked people at the end of our education chain. We get people with the correct quality education. We are going to have a conversation about competence-based education. I want to say from the onset that the graduation that has taken place from knowledge and exam-based education to now knowledge, competence, skills-based, and value-based education is the right trajectory. So it's very important for us to understand that as Kenya Kwanza, we support the progression from what we had as knowledge and exam-based education only to the new format of knowledge, skills, and competence, as well as value-based education. The conversation we want to have is, we are now 5 years into CBC. ESCO guidelines gives us the latitude that every 5 years you have to review your education curriculum. And this is the moment. We've had concerns from parents, we've had concerns from teachers, we've concerns from various stakeholders. As Kenya Kwanza, we want to have a robust conversation with the public, with all the stakeholders, so that we can have an education system that where everybody is comfortable, and it leads us to quality, it leads us to relevance, it's also affordable, and it's of good quality. That's really where we want to go. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am truly happy to participate in this conversation. I think it is the most important conversation, as I have said earlier, and this discussion is now open. I know I cannot claim to be a professional. I know there are so many other professionals who can speak to this. I can also confirm that I have gone to school. So I have an idea of what it should be. So, and I want to thank my teachers who are here and all the other, I also have people I went with to school and many other people. I know there is now huge controversy about degrees and this kind of thing. And I think sorting out our education the way we are doing it will actually remove some of the gray areas that have occasioned the kind of challenges we have today of us not knowing who was in school, who was not. And it will also help us to eliminate cases of people saying they went to school, they have no known classmates, they have no known lecturers, and nobody knows what courses they did. So I think it will help us sort out the whole of that, mess. So to this very important conversation, and I think we can now take it up from there. Asanteni sana. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Now, I'll call the first speaker.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies, Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellencies, party leaders who are here, the Chair of the Education Committee, colleague educationalists, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It gives me great pleasure to be here today to address this forum. And before I say anything, Your Excellency, allow me just to recognize some of my colleagues who have given me a mandate to chair the Kenya Secondary School Heads Association, and also other sister associations that we collaborate with very much on matters education. With me, I have representatives from KEPSHA, and I know I have the former chairman here of KEPSHA, Mr. Gademia, and his team, kindly wave. We also have KESHA officials, our secretary, national secretary, Mr. Kuria, is here. I have the chairman of KEWOTA, Kenya Women Teachers Association, is here. I have SHAC. SHAC is the Special Schools Heads Association. The former treasurer is here. And apart from that, we also have our unionists here, KUPPET and NAT represented. And we have teachers from all over the country. My colleague teachers, please just stand. I know you are there. Just stand and, yeah. So these are the people, Your Excellency, that have allowed me to participate on their behalf on matters education. As I stand here this morning, I would like to share with you and the forum on matters of basic education. Your Excellency, you've articulated it very well, and even the person who Daktari who gave us the preamble really did indicate that education is the key driver. If we want to progress as a country, if we want our economy to be good, then an educated citizen is key. A good education system is very important. And for us to be able to ensure that our students and our citizens are well educated, we must invest a lot in the training. We must invest a lot in quality training of the key driver, the teachers. The people seated behind you, sir, majority are teachers, and they agree with me that the quality of training, how they are empowered, and how they are employed becomes very key. As Kenya Kwanza takes over government, it will be important to first think of the gap in the teaching. At the moment, as principals and head teachers of various institutions, we are lacking the number of teachers that are required. I know there are very many out there that are waiting to be employed, but it would be important to first address the very needy, the gap that is there. When we last checked, our shortfall is about 118,000 teachers. This would be very important that immediately they are employed to be able to take care of the 100% transition, to be able to take care as we prepare for junior secondary students that are coming to us, and then eventually ensure that those teachers that are out there waiting to be employed are employed and employed very quickly. Ladies and gentlemen, as we look at the employment of teachers, a good teacher and a teacher that is going to deliver the curriculum the way it is must be happy, must be healthy. It would be important to look at how do we enumerate them. How is their medical cover? Is it able to take care when they fall sick? At the moment, there are challenges because at times when they go for treatment, you are told that this insurance cannot manage 1, 2, 3. So it would be important to look at the health status of our teachers. It is also important to look at the issues to do with their continuous training. A bone of contention that we have today, which I want to present to you to think about it, is the issues of the continuous training through the TPD program. There is now being said that the teachers will have to finance for themselves. That is a bone of contention. I would like to recommend that as we prepare and continuously train them, let this continuous training be borne by the government. So that when the government feels that I need to be retooled, they need to pay and ensure that I'm ready to continue working. The issues to do with safety. We are aware that across the country, some of the areas are now facing a shortfall because of the insecurity in the area. It will be important that the safety of both the learner and the students, the learner and the teachers are addressed so that the teacher feels comfortable, the teacher knows that my responsibility is at this level and that there is somebody else to ensure that I'm safe. It is the responsibility of government to ensure that the security of every citizen is key. The issue of remuneration. I'll address issues to do with the teachers, then move to other areas. The issues of enumeration are very important. A well-resourced, a well-tooled teacher, and finally a well-paid teacher will deliver the curriculum to the level that the government would like to look at it. Our proposal, sir, is that immediately you take over, can you look at allow the stakeholders to further discuss on the CBA? Because the CBA that has been there, the teachers out there call it the maternity CBA. Yes, it is true, when our partners deliver, we also must be available to support them, to ensure that they are strong enough, then we continue with work. But in addition to that, the teacher will always want to see how much has been increased on my pay. So we want to request that immediately, propose that immediately you take over government, let Teacher Service Commission, our union, take over and discuss the CBA afresh. And I think this cuts across the entire sector of education, from basic education up to tertiary education. I'm sure as my friends come to share, this will be repeated several times. The issues of facilities in our institutions. When I talk of facilities, I'm not only looking at infrastructure. How are we developing the infrastructure in terms of laboratories, the infrastructure in terms of libraries for research, the infrastructure in terms of technology? Because as we move forward, technology, we need to leverage on technology. And the biggest challenge that we have in these areas, Your Excellency, is the internet connectivity. When Corona hit us, we all closed schools and we closed learning. Eventually, we realized that learning must continue, and we started sending lessons to students via phones. So the school was now in the phone. But when they come to school, we tell them don't come with the phones. So it will be important for us to leverage on technology, so that should we face another shock in the education sector, we do not close schools and close learning. Schools can be closed, but learning should be able to continue. It is our proposal that issues on internet connectivity be looked into, so that the tariff or the charges that go with internet connectivity are brought down for purposes of teaching and learning. 100% transition policy by government today is good. This ensures that all our children go to school. But what challenges have we faced with a 100% policy? The biggest, overstretched facilities on a certain cadre of schools that ends up with so many students, because they believe in that cadre of schools there will be quality education. But if you look at data, 70% found in day schools. The challenge has been that these day schools have not been well facilitated in terms of infrastructure, in terms of staffing, and therefore they end up not having the students that they need. Students now run away to the schools that they feel, or parents, the schools that they feel are well resourced. It is our recommendation that we should invest more in our day schools. Equip them well, resource them, and then staff them so that students and parents can have confidence to take their children to the primary schools, the day schools that are closer to them. Because we are saying, as we move these children to junior secondary, and I happen to have been a member of the task force, one of the recommendations we were saying that junior secondary should be primarily day school. But now, with the crave which the Kenyans have for boarding schools, it means that we may not achieve that unless we invest more in our day schools. So for us to achieve it, our recommendations, let us invest more in our day schools. Your Excellency, the government policy on capitation is good because it ensures that every child